with you two on the board right now, we should have a great conversation, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. All
Yep.
right. You guys ready to dive in? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So, recent studies have highlighted that there's an increasing importance of understanding consumer behavior and psychology in marketing. So, with neuromarketing and data analytics, brands are now able to craft more personalized and effective marketing strategies that tap into the subconscious triggers of their audience. So, I want to talk about the psychological triggers in marketing campaigns. And Jessica, I know fashion is
Yeah.
definitely your world, right? And when we think about fashion brands and how they specifically leverage these psychological triggers to influence consumer behaviors, can you share some examples of what those psychological triggers that fashion brands may use? And this could be either through their advertisements, through how they design their
Yeah.
clothes, things like that.
So what comes to mind for me is, let's just think about the luxury industry, which is a very unique industry because it plays on so many different emotions that people can have. But the main emotion that comes to mind is your worthiness. And I think that since everyone can define their worthiness differently, but they do understand that it's in comparison to some type of factor in which other people need to validate, the luxury industry has done a great job getting people to buy their products and associate that with the level of worthiness in themselves. So having a certain bag or wearing a certain bracelet or being able to say that, you have a certain jacket, it creates a worthiness and it also connects you to a community. And so a lot of people kind of frown upon conspicuous consumption, for instance. So if you're in a lower socioeconomic, I guess, group and you're dressing up, it's always seemed to be like a negative, but it's playing on people's desire to not only be worthy, but a part of a community. And so I think because fashion is something that you wear on the outside of your body, and they're items that you show to other people, and people can validate your status or validate what they assume your taste is, or, what background that you come from. It gets played on a lot in the luxury sector. But this is a big thing in fashion in general because there's so many hedonic motivations for purchasing things. And it all has to do with how you feel, how worthy you are, and how you associate these brands in the aspect of your own worthiness.
Yeah, and it's so funny because this reminds me of Deion Sanders and the phrase that he coined, like if you look
You play
good,
good.
you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you
Absolutely.
play good, they pay good, right? And so this is certainly connected to the social identity play that fashion brands have on consumers, because ultimately what we wear is going to make us feel a certain way, and when we feel that certain way, we feel also that we are perceived in a certain
Absolutely.
light as well, in terms of when doing statement pieces, right, for fashion. And so what's interesting here is the aspect of how we can use data in order to determine what type of triggers these fashion brands or any other brand can use in order to focus on connecting with or engaging with their target audience. So, Zanti, I mean, how can brands use data to help with their marketing campaigns that are connected to some type of psychological trigger?
Because I think that, to your point, consumer thing that brands are recognizing more and more is the underlying reason that we buy just for the purpose of having something. We buy because there are these motivations. If we can better identify those motivations, then we can actually target our marketing and even or customize our marketing based on those specific triggers. Now, there's a couple of ways that we can do this, right? If you own that data, right, we at Convince and Convert have worked with clients to actually do attitudinal research, where we go out and we field surveys and we analyze what are the different attitudes that people have within a particular audience, and then we segment them by the different things that drive them. You can start to use that as a place where we can actually ask customers questions about what they care about, right? So I'm going to go to a completely different industry, way away from fashion, which is higher education, right? So one of our clients is one of the biggest alumni associates in the US. And we did this attitudinal research with them, and we went out there and we found out that they had some people connected to the school because of their own prestige, right? They wanted to demonstrate that they were part of a really great community of people. There were others who were there for their need for camaraderie. They were there, more for the sports, more for the activities. They were really there about having connect people who enjoy things as they did. And the third group, they were more there for personal connection. Let's say, right, they were really there to build connections that could help them in their career or in their lives, in their philanthropy, etc. To build the right connection, actually serving them in that, right? They had different attitudes. That's the kind of information that you can go out there and then ask your customers, okay, which one are you? And then show them more content that's specific to those kinds of attitudes, right? Because then you're more highly relevant to them. But that's not to say that if you don't own that data, you can't take advantage of that data, because now there are a lot of technology companies who are putting a data layer using third-party data onto your website or landing pages or email, where they can actually define from the behaviors of these people on other websites. So to Jessica's point about the luxury space, you could have an e-commerce company within fashion actually tailor their messaging on their website based on motivations of people in how they've behaved on other sites. So I could go to buy jeans, and maybe I'm there for build evidence. And so the messaging that they're going to show me is going to be really different from the messaging that somebody else gets who's really driven by a good value, is going to be really different from the messaging that somebody is going to see if they're really driven by the latest fashion trends and being, novelty, right? And that is really powerful for brands, because it means that the experience of each individual person can be highly relevant to them. And in an age when we all have less time than ever,